Lots more to come as well. Saphia Khambalia with you. Very glad to be back with you all. We're talking still this week as we welcome in spring in just a couple days. Lots of snow to come in this forecast, especially if you're in parts of Alberta. You can see the moisture still swirling. Different story though with a beauty weekend ahead. In parts of southern Ontario, there is still some snow in Ontario. It'll be light. Flurries in nature east of Georgian Bay, kind of Sudbury up to Cottage Country before it fizzles out Sunday afternoon, and then really just brings some cloud cover to the south. A warmer high comes before that system and then cool as you welcome in Monday in parts of Ontario. I'll tell you how it'll stay dry for the next little while and when some more active weather can come. But first, bursts of snow for the next 24 hours with a trough pattern just stalling out in Atlantic Canada. Some of you could see up to 5 centimeters, but what it's doing, it's just creating an appetite for maybe more snow to come for this week ahead. Now, you know you had a lot of nor'easters the last little while, but the next system will be midweek, and it really could just swipe the Avalon, might graze those of you in the Maritimes, and if there's enough oomph, and if it comes north enough, it could bring some snow to parts of southern Ontario, but really a lot of uncertainty in the models. This model has maybe the possibility of some snow and rain for the Maritime. The next model that we're still tracking could be more of a snow story if this track is more north. But you're used to this, right? Especially in places like Truro, you're there to come, especially if you are in parts of the prairies. Alberta, boy, have you clocked quite the snowpack in the last couple days, especially Thursday. Kananaskis County, over 30 centimeters of snow. This system is just stalling out. You get more snow over the next 24 hours as it slowly sinks south. Sunday, Monday, you could have some light snow showers. It really fizzles out, but light snow showers for those of you in parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba to begin the work week and begin the week where we say hi to spring. Montana is supplying the fuel for all of this snow. Really, for those of you in south and central Alberta, it continues for the next 24 hours. You could see another 5 to 10 centimeters, a little bit more in higher elevation. So if you're in Banff, you're seeing a pretty condition for all the skiers there with another 5 to 10 centimeters this weekend still to come. And then some of this goes over for those of you in the eastern section of BC, but really extreme East BC. Otherwise, the south coast of British Columbia, beautiful this weekend and calm, not until end of the week that active weather. Well, thanks for making us a part of your St. Paddy's Day. Saphia Khambalia with you. Very happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy Saturday as well. Almost spring, folks. We can almost count down by the day, by the hour, just about. We still have some winter weather to talk about. Bursts of snow. You have this trough pattern in Atlantic Canada that is really just sticking around, especially more of a snow story for those of you in parts of Newfoundland and Labrador. You could get some quick bursts of snow, though, downwind in the Bay of Fundy before this slowly pushes offshore late day Sunday. Even parts of northern New Brunswick and the Avalon could see a good quick 5 centimeters. A teaser of what's maybe yet to come. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But first, I think we should talk about some sort of spring weather. A beauty weekend this weekend in parts of Ontario. But you know, you might get some of that really pretty type snow falling. Look at what we saw yesterday. Quick flurries tomorrow throughout the day, especially if you're east of Georgian Bay. Sudbury to Cottage Country quickly fizzles out. And then really it's just a story of off and on sun and cloud as that system sags through the south, and so do cooler temperatures. But until then, a glorious Sunday to behold for much of southern Ontario. We're talking even double digits, especially into the extreme south around the Golden Horseshoe. The west end of the GTA will be quite warm as well, where you don't have as much of that cloud to deal with. A little bit cooler, below seasonal for Monday. And then, yes, the big day arrives on Tuesday. We did it. Wear your battle scars proudly, especially places like Bathurst, New Brunswick, that picked up, I would say about 4 meters of snow this winter, more sunshine to come. And while we're talking about Atlantic Canada, you might actually welcome in the start of spring with another potential system. Yes, another nor'easter potentially after the track you've had. We're watching 2 potential scenarios here. So scenario number 1 brings more of a rain and snow mix to parts of the Maritimes as it tracks a bit more south. Further north in scenario number 2, more of a snow story for the middle part of next week. They're dealing with the snow right now in parts of Alberta, meanwhile. We're talking another 5 to 10 centimeters to come this weekend, where it looks quite like a winter wonderland to welcome in spring. This system is just slowly inching southwards and dropping that 5 centimeters very slowly after some of you maybe saw 20 to 30 centimeters to end off the work week. A little bit of those snows translate for those of you in the eastern portion of BC as you head into tomorrow. A coastal disturbance might bring some light fog, but it's a seasonal weekend, seasonably cool. A change is afoot, though. If we're talking about cool down, stay tuned. In the next few minutes, we'll talk about how there is more Arctic air to come. Don't count out the end of March for being quite winter-like across the country. Right now, your local forecast. Well, we're past the midway point in March. It's that time we start dreaming of spring. We're still watching snow come on down constantly. For those of you in parts of Alberta, there is still more to come as well. Saphia Khambalia joining you, by the way. It's an unsettled weekend as well if you're in Atlantic Canada. Bursts of snow, on and off, sun and cloud. It is a beautiful weekend by comparison in parts of Ontario. Even double-digit highs to come for a mostly sunny Sunday as well. Great, sensational Saturday. There you go. Pick an adjective. How about a snowy Saturday? In parts of Alberta, the snow just keeps on coming. Throughout this whole weekend, you are building up quite the snowpack. It is dry, seasonal, and quite pleasant, though, in the south coast of British Columbia, but things could change over the next 7 days. Yeah, the storm tracks really are headed to all of the outskirts of the country. Pacific moisture will feed the west. Atlantic moisture will feed the east. And for those of you in Ontario and parts of Quebec, you're sitting quite pretty and dry for the next 7 days. A change is afoot as we enter into the end of March, though. Cooler Arctic air is flooding into much of the country yet again. We'll detail the active pattern and what winter has left when we come back. But this time of year, we talk about the winter blues, right? It can be more than just an expression. Michelle Mackey now with that story. Well, March 17th, it is St. Patrick's Day. You are watching the Weather Network. Saphia Khambalia, very glad to see you. We're still talking some winter weather this week. I'll tell you, we welcome in spring. We did it. We made it. A burst of snow still to come over the next 24 hours in parts of Atlantic Canada, especially higher terrain. Really stalls out for those of you in Newfoundland and Labrador. You'll see a bit more snow before it slowly pushes off into the Atlantic. A good quick 5 centimeters is in store for many of you, especially Cape Breton Highlands, downwind of the Bay of Fundy, northern New Brunswick, and western Newfoundland with some of that higher terrain. It's a taste of what is maybe yet to come. I'll tell you about what surprises await you after we welcome in spring in parts of Atlantic Canada. But first, let's talk a little bit more about spring weather. In parts of Ontario, it is going to be a beautiful weekend. A sunny Saturday, a mostly sunny Sunday. It'd be a great time to head out on to the ferry. Oh. If you're in the eastern end of the GTA, tomorrow you could see some of that cloud. This system fizzles out with some light flurries in parts of central Ontario and makes it just a cloudy day in eastern Ontario. But if you're in the west end of the GTA, around the Golden Horseshoe, all the way to Windsor, we're talking about a beautiful Sunday, maybe even double digits for some of you, especially in places like Windsor and in London, Essex, where you're above seasonal. Cooler air returns, though, for Monday. Just the last little bit of winter maybe before spring finally arrives on Tuesday. You look forward to everything, including buds on trees, extra sunshine, muddy puddles, you name it, it's all here. We'll keep bringing you all those details as we count down to spring here on the Weather Network. And as we do so, spring may have another little surprise, as I mentioned, in store for those of you in Atlantic Canada. A potential nor'easter midweek. Lots of uncertainty with the tracks, though. Here are 2 potential scenarios. Lots of time for things to change. Scenario number 1 could see more of a rain-snow mix, more of a southerly track. If this track shifts just a little bit more north, scenario number 2 could be more of a snow event, especially for those of you in parts of Newfoundland. And if you want to talk a current snow event, look no farther than parts of Alberta, where it is a winter wonderland. Just on Thursday, places like Kananaskis County picked up over 30 centimeters of snow. You saw about 10-15 centimeters around the city of Calgary as well. Boy, have you been adding up to your snowpack. You will eventually have some melt this week ahead, at least for the first half of this work week. But until then, you got to get through this snow. It slowly sags south. You'll hold on to it right till late day Sunday in parts of Alberta before light snow showers move over to parts of Saskatchewan and even Winnipeg. Southern Manitoba on Monday could see a little snow shower or 2 to start off the work week. It's all this energy that really, for the most part, has fizzled out by that point. In Alberta, you could see a little bit in the eastern edge of Alberta, of BC rather, as you end off Sunday into Monday. A coastal disturbance could bring just a bit of fog. Until then, seasonal temperatures for much of this week ahead. It's a great week for those of you in BC, but an active pattern resumes midweek. We'll have more on that right now in your local forecast. Hello, very glad to have you with us. Saphia Khambalia joining you. We still have a little bit of winter left to talk about this week. We're entering spring in a few days. We did it. We made it. It looks a lot like winter if you're in parts of Alberta. The snow just keeps on circling. What a snowpack you have accumulated over the last little while. Meanwhile, you'll be hard pressed to find any snow in southern Ontario. Beautiful double-digit for some of you Sunday. But until then, a little bit of snow, especially east of Georgian Bay, quickly fizzles out throughout the day Sunday. And then really it's just a story of cloud cover. Could sink as far south, some of those clouds like east portions of the GTA. But around that Golden Horseshoe, especially in southwestern Ontario, just a gorgeous Sunday. On and off sun and cloud for those of you in Atlantic Canada this weekend as well. You will have some bursts of snow, especially in higher terrain like the Cape Breton Highlands, downwind of the Bay of Fundy. Northern New Brunswick and western Newfoundland could see another 5 to 10 centimeters. This weekend in parts of Nova Scotia, will you see more snow for the feathered variety this week? Yeah, you might. We're watching the next system. Midweek, it could be a story for those of you in parts of Atlantic Canada. Could just swipe the Avalon as we get into Wednesday. Lots of uncertainty though, and even more uncertainty as we head into the next potential nor'easter as well. Boy, you've had a string of them in Atlantic Canada, and you could see another. It might not be as powerful as the ones you've seen late, depending on the track. One has it more north with a little bit more snow. There it is there. The other could be more of a rain story, more of a nuisance as we about to welcome in spring. It looks a lot like winter though if you're in the prairies, especially in parts of Alberta. Now Kananaskis County, especially higher terrain over the last couple days, picked up over 30 centimeters of snow. That story continues over the next few days. This system is really just slowly sagging south, and as it does so, it could drop another 5 to 10 centimeters depending on where you are. It's being constantly fed more moisture out of Montana, which is why it looks just like a winter wonderland in parts of central Alberta. Calgary especially, this has been a really exceptionally snowy last few weeks, an exceptionally snowy February. You could see another 5 centimeters, especially in places like Banff, maybe even up to 10 as you head into Sunday and welcome in Monday. Some of that snow translates on into eastern BC, but really it is calm in parts of the south coast. You have a coastal trough. It's really just pushing drizzle offshore, seasonal right until the end of the week. But right now, no matter where you are, your local forecast. Saphia Khambalia back with you at the Weather Network. Thanks for making us a part of your weekend, folks. We're still talking snow. You can see it there swirling very slowly in parts of Alberta. Really, it'll be constant throughout the weekend, and so will bursts of snow and on and off cloud for those of you in parts of Atlantic Canada as a trough pattern just has stalled out over you, especially in parts of Newfoundland and Labrador. Meanwhile, it is starting to look a little bit more like spring and starting to feel like it as well in parts of southern Ontario, where some of you may even see double-digit temperatures as you welcome in a somewhat sunny and cloudy Sunday. But if you want to keep talking about winter weather, look no farther than parts of Alberta. Boy, what a snowpack you have accumulated over the past few days. It continues constant this weekend. Not a ton of accumulation to come, but just constant snow as we welcome in, yes, spring in just a few days. Say it with me, folks. It's a pleasant weekend for the next couple days anyways, and into the start of the work week for those of you in parts of the south coast of British Columbia. Seasonal across the south, but things may change as you head into the next week ahead. Storm tracks are spouting up all across the country, but they're really heading to the outer edges of the country. Atlantic moisture feeding Atlantic Canada, Pacific moisture into the west, and Ontario looks to be nice and high and dry and sitting pretty. But will it be warmer? Will it be cold as we enter into the end portion of March and the start of April? Cold Arctic air still to come for many of you in the country. But now I want to take a little change of scenery. We talk a lot about wildfires, right? A new study I want to tell you a little bit more about that can predict how often and where lightning strikes, which actually could help prevent wildfires. Have a listen to this. Lots more to come as well. Saphia Khambalia with you. Very glad to be back with you all. We're talking still this week as we welcome in spring in just a couple days. Lots of snow to come in this forecast, especially if you're in parts of Alberta. You can see the moisture still swirling. Different story though with a beauty weekend ahead. In parts of southern Ontario, there is still some snow in Ontario. It'll be light. Well, it is St. Patrick's Day. Saphia Khambalia with you. You are watching the Weather Network. Thanks for making us a part of your weekend. It is a snowy winter wonderland type of weekend if you have friends or family in Alberta or in parts of Atlantic Canada. Meanwhile, though, just cloud cover in parts of southern Ontario. I'll tell you about the slight chance for some flurries where and when, but meanwhile, you are bang on seasonal, even for your overnight low. Feeling like -10 tonight if you're coming back late from any St. Patrick's Day festivities or events, taking advantage of any of the free TTC services. Play safe, folks. Wear your green. Enjoy. Actually, -5, bang on seasonal. signal for your overnight low. A little bit chilly with a northwest wind as you wake up early tomorrow morning, but then really warming up quickly. I'll show you the southerly flow and how it plays into this beautiful temperature in just a minute. But look at that, even with the wind chill, feeling like our seasonal mark at 5 degrees, and even warmer if you're around the Golden Horseshoe into the west end of the GTA or the Hamilton area. Meanwhile, it'll be more of a cloudy story in the east end of the GTA. You could see a little bit more of that to come. Maybe in the east end of the GTA, there's that cooler temperature with some of that cloud cover sinking in for a mostly sunny Sunday. Some flurries if you're up around cottage country, really quickly fizzling out with a change to more of a cooler northwest wind late day tomorrow. And what that means is Monday morning will be rather chilly. High pressure, though, in place for the next few days. So you begin this work week rather cool, below seasonal Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but it's not just any old average mom and pop work week. It is the work week that we enter into spring. So have a look at the greens push in on Sunday when you have that warmth come in, and then a little bit cooler air returns as you head into Monday. But this awaits you come Tuesday, 12:15 Eastern Standard Time. Daylight and darkness are approximately equal. We have all the extra things to look forward to, like extra sunshine, muddy dog paws, muddy puddles, buds on trees, you name it. The next season is here. We've made it through past winter, and I will tell you a little bit more coming up about how the active pattern looks to stay away from Ontario. Right now, your local forecast. We are bringing you all of the gory details of the winter weather left to come as we are about to welcome in spring in just a few days. It's almost there. You can taste it. You can almost feel it.
Just wrapped up our last full week of the season, and actually Alberta, we definitely saw remnants of, well, not remnants of winter, rather we saw winter in full force. We saw that snow there. A little bit of a different scenario, which we'll break down for you in just a second.
Lightly, but especially west end of the GTA into southwestern Ontario, we are talking double-digit warmth for some places before a quick cool down for a cooler Monday. Cool conditions, on and off sun and cloud today in Atlantic Canada, but bursts of snow along with that for Sunday as well.
Yeah, push out.
Yeah, then you welcome in spring potentially with the next system, especially for those of you in Atlantic Canada. This could be a swipe at the Avalon. We're watching push, and this could be a snow story even for southern Ontario and parts of Atlantic Canada. You're used to that though, right? There's been a track of nor'easters this past week. This next one,
A track, this could be more of a snow event once again for New Brunswick, whereas if it's more of an easterly track, we could be looking at more of that snow for Newfoundland, or rather Nova Scotia. We'll take you outside.
Yeah, so there's a lot of blue. We're glad that you're with us. Maybe you're wearing some green around the table tonight or tomorrow morning. Maybe some green pancakes with breakfast tomorrow for Sunday morning rather. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, it'll be seasonal for much of the country if you're heading out overnight tonight back from any St. Patrick's Day festivities. For many of you across the country. Not a lot of green though in parts of Alberta.
Yeah, and I mean it's nothing like what we saw, you know, on Thursday into Friday, but we are looking at a bit more light snow to continue through Sunday. Some flurries for BC with this and clearing out by Monday.
Constant moisture being fed up from Montana for those of you in Alberta. That's why this system has really been slow to sag south, and you've seen the snowpack build so much over the past few days. Over 30 centimeters just Thursday into Friday in places like Kananaskis County. These have been your Weather Network headlines. You can always find more on theweathernetwork.com. Well, it is the last Saturday in winter, and just saying it feels kind of good. We made it through, almost. Saphia and Doug share with you, we still have some winter weather to talk about bursts of snow, but also bursts of sun and cloud as well in Atlantic Canada this weekend.
A bit of a mix through the rest of the weekend as well, as we have that nor'easter. We're going to see some snow continuing.
Higher terrain could pick up a little bit more. As you mentioned, Cape Breton Highlands, even western Newfoundland. How much snow you've picked up in parts of like Bathurst this winter? Over 4 meters. We did the calculations for you. I just thought I'd rub a little salt in the winds. There might be more to come for this week ahead, but first let's talk a little bit more about spring weather. Spring arrives on Tuesday, and it sure is going to look like it this weekend in Ontario.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this already in southern Ontario on Saturday. Similar conditions, brisker conditions on Monday. Take advantage of Sunday because it will be warmer for some in southern Ontario.
Yeah, it looks lovely outside as well. We've seen that the past few days, you know.
Burst through and then calm down and burst through. I was there for the Justin Timberlake concert. Just throwing that out there, it was a blast.
I bet that band would have been pretty good for one of the concert goers as well. Maybe a little bit of snow to come in eastern parts of the GTA, even in cottage country. That's why you're seeing some of that colder air seep in. Watch the greens push in.
Doesn't necessarily mean the end of winter-like weather, of course, but something to look forward to if you enjoy.
More sunshine, muddy dog paws is what I'm thinking about as well. Muddy puddles if you're my 4-year-old. So lots of new things this season brings, and you might welcome in spring in Atlantic Canada with some more potential systems. Yeah.
Nor'easter, this is very track dependent. Of course, it's a little bit farther out. We're looking at mid next week. And in terms of the impact for southern Ontario right now, we're not really looking at the significant chance for much, but definitely could be a story for Atlantic
Atlantic Canada.
Yeah, March is always that surprising month. You never know what's going to happen. But for the rest of this weekend as well, this system is really taking its time to go south.
Yes, so we're going to see those flurries continue really they're actually going to seep into eastern BC. We're also going to be seeing some light snow for Alberta, and that'll continue through Sunday.
Yeah, not a ton of accumulations, maybe another 5 to 10 centimeters. Meanwhile, it's a seasonably cool weekend in the south coast of British Columbia, and your local forecast is now.